The Smarter Money Life podcast is sponsored by Forum Credit Union, a member-owned financial cooperative serving members since 1941. Forum, your trusted financial partner, helping members live their financial dreams every day. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Smarter Money Life. I'm Andy Mattingly.
And I'm Nicole Royal. Today we're talking about something that impacts nearly everyone at some point, financial stress.
And for most people, that stress isn't caused by one major mistake. It's usually the result of small, everyday habits that slowly add up.
The encouraging part is that small, intentional changes can provide a lot of relief and help you feel more confident with your money.
So today, we're breaking down a few practical money habits that can help prevent financial struggles and build long-term stability. Let's start with one of the most important habits, paying yourself first.
This simply means prioritizing saving before spending. Instead of saving what's left over, you treat savings like a bill that gets paid automatically. Automation is the key here. When savings happens automatically on payday, it removes the temptation to skip it.
And it doesn't have to be a large amount. Starting small is perfectly fine. The consistency is what matters. As income increases or expenses change, you can always adjust the amount. The habit itself is what builds momentum over time.
Another major contributor to financial stress is unexpected expenses. That's where an emergency fund comes in. Without one, even minor surprises can turn into financial setbacks. Most people will experience an unexpected expense of $500 to $1,500 annually.
This is why we often recommend starting with a goal of $1,000 in your emergency fund, because it's going to cover most of the emergencies you're going to have in a year. Once that's in place, the long-term goal is to have 3 to 6 months of essential expenses saved. And the biggest benefit isn't just financial, it's just peace of mind. You're prepared rather than reactive.
Let's talk about budgeting, which is a word that tends to make people uncomfortable. A budget doesn't have to be complicated or restrictive. At its core, it's just a plan for your money. Simple frameworks like the 50-30-20 rule or zero-based budgeting give structure without being overwhelming. We also encourage short, regular check-ins instead of long monthly reviews.
A quick weekly review can help you catch issues early and stay aligned with your goals. One habit that often gets overlooked is creating sinking funds in your budgets. These are savings buckets for expenses you know are coming, but they don't come every month. They are a key component of getting your budget to actually work.
Things like insurance premiums, car maintenance, or holidays. Without sinking funds, those predictable expenses feel like emergencies. Saving a little each month spreads out the cost and reduces stress when those bills arrive because you already have most of it saved.
One thing we also see a lot is financial stress that doesn't come from bad habits, but from uncertainty. You might have irregular income, changing hours, or commission-based work that can make even a solid financial plan feel unstable.
Another big one is not having clarity. When people aren't sure where their money is going or they avoid checking their accounts, that alone can create anxiety, even if they're earning enough.
Life transitions play a role too. Job changes, growing families, caring for parents. Those shifts can strain finances temporarily and catch people off guard if they haven't planned for it. It's also important to consider how these changes can impact your financial situation.
That's why it's important to remember financial stress isn't always about doing something wrong. Sometimes it's about navigating change, emotions, or uncertainty, and giving yourself grace while you build stronger habits. We also want to talk about something we hear all the time. People who are doing a lot of things right and still feel anxious about money.
They're saving, they're paying their bills on time, they have a budget, and yet there's still this underlying stress, like one wrong move could undo all of their progress.
A lot of that comes from feeling that even though everything is accounted for, there's no room for surprises, mistakes, or life changes.
And when that happens, even responsible decisions can feel fragile. You're not worried because you're careless, you're worried because you care.
That anxiety often pushes people toward quick fixes for breathing room, like relying on credit cards or carrying balances longer than they planned.
Which is why debt so often becomes part of the conversation, even for people who are otherwise making smart financial choices. And even though it is not necessarily a bad habit, high interest debt is one of the biggest sources of financial pressure. Credit card interest in particular can make balances feel overwhelming. Whenever possible, paying credit cards in full each month is ideal.
But if you're carrying balances, the most important thing is having a clear payoff plan. That might be the avalanche method, focusing on the highest interest rate, or the snowball method, starting with the smallest balance for motivation. There's no universal best option. The best strategy is the one you'll stick with.
Credit health also plays a role in financial stability. Paying bills on time and keeping balances low relative to limits makes a big difference. Automation really helps support these habits. Automating bill payments and savings helps you reduce missed payments and late fees and helps keep your credit strong.
We also recommend keeping a buffer in your checking account, often about half to a full month of expenses. This buffer can prevent overdrafts and reduce day-to-day money stress.
Another important habit is to make sure you're properly insured. Health insurance, auto insurance, renters or homeowners, and sometimes disability or life insurance. Insurance isn't about expecting something bad to happen. It's about making sure one unexpected event doesn't derail your financial progress.
Now that we have shared the critical areas where financial stress can occur, we also want to take a few minutes to answer some common questions we hear from listeners, because chances are, if you're wondering about it, you're not alone.
One question we hear all the time is, what if I don't have enough money to do all of this? And the honest answer is, you don't have to do everything at once.
Progress doesn't come from perfection. It comes from starting where you are. Even small steps, like automating a savings account or tracking spending for 1 month, can reduce stress and build confidence.
Another common question is, should I focus on saving or paying off debt? And the answer really does depend upon your situation, and I'm not trying to be flippant about this, but for some people, having a small emergency fund while working on high-interest debt creates stability and prevents setbacks.
We also hear, what if I'm already stressed just thinking about looking at my finances? That's actually more common than people realize. If that's you, start with awareness, not judgment. Looking at the numbers doesn't make them worse, but avoiding them often makes the stress heavier. Clarity is the first step toward control. Ignorance is not really bliss in this situation because sooner or later, you know there will be issues.
And one more we hear often is, how do I stay motivated when progress feels slow? That's where celebrating small wins matters. Paying off one balance, building a small buffer, or sticking to a plan for a few months counts. Financial progress is usually quiet, but it adds up.
The goal isn't to have everything figured out today. It's to keep moving forward, one habit at a time. Stacking all the good habits together will provide the continued reinforcement that will help you stay motivated and celebrate each little accomplishment. You will see progress.
If this feels like a lot to remember, you don't have to do everything at once. A few small steps can make a big difference.
Before we wrap up, here's a simple checklist you can come back to. Am I paying myself first? Even a small automated savings account amount counts. Do I have a starter emergency fund? Aim for $1,000, then build from there. Do I have a clear plan for debt? Not perfection, just a strategy you'll stick with. Is my budget simple and realistic? A plan you use beats one that looks perfect.
Have I created sinking funds for known expenses? Predictable costs shouldn't feel like emergencies. Do I have a buffer in checking? This margin reduces your day-to-day stress. Am I reviewing my money regularly? Short, consistent check-ins build clarity and confidence. Am I giving myself grace? Progress matters more than perfection. If you can say yes to even one or two of these, you're moving in the right direction.
Remember, building strong money habits takes time, but consistency matters more than perfection.
The goal isn't to eliminate every challenge, it's to reduce stress and feel more confident about your finances because you know you are prepared as you can be for any challenge.
Thanks for joining us today. If you want more tips or resources, visit forumcu.com.
And don't forget to tune in next time for more ways to make your money work smarter for you.
Thank you for joining us today. Our hope is that we can help you live your best financial life. For more insights, be sure to subscribe to the Smarter Money Life YouTube channel and also catch the Smarter Money Minute segment every Thursday on Fox 59's Indie Now Lifestyle Show. Remember, reaching your financial dreams is a journey, and every step you take brings you closer to making your dreams a reality.